I am so excited about this new diet. I cannot wait to start it. I know that it is going to be amazing and I'm going to get incredible results and I'm going to feel awesome, but I also hope I can stick with it because, man, I have just tried and failed so many of them. Pause. Next. About 3 months later, oh, my friend, she has this great new healthy eating plan that she's doing. She feels incredible on it. I know that it'll work for me, and I really think I can stick with this one. Pause. 3 months later. What is wrong with me? Why can't I ever stick with these? That is the dark side of dieting. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome, I'm Sheri Traxler with Nourish Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. This is National Nutrition Month here in America, and that means we're talking about dieting, but more specifically, the dark side of dieting today, and then next time we're going to talk about breaking out of food jail, so I'm not going to leave you hanging. All right, what do I mean by the dark side of dieting? It's all those questions that come up whenever you are thinking about some new healthy eating plan that you have tried and failed others, and it's like, why can't I stick with this one? Well, let's answer some questions that come up with that. Number one is, what is healthy eating anyway? You know, we say, oh, this is a new healthy eating plan. What does that mean? Because I promise you, for your coworkers, for family, for friends, and for you, that definition is all different. And if you add weight loss into that mix of a healthy eating plan, it gets even more diverse what the answers could be. Here's a stat for you, and this is a real stat. This is not a made-up stat. Second question that comes up is, if 95% of diets are not stuck with, if 95% of diets fail, is it the diets? Is it you? Which is it? Because if 95% of something fails, normally we go, something's wrong with it. And third question, this whole idea of healthy eating plans raises, because there's so many different plans, is there actually a way out? Is there actually a way to eat that makes you feel amazing, gets you the results that you want in life, but doesn't add more stress? There is, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, but I want to make sure you really understand how dark this dark side is and the pain that it causes you and other people, so that you'll really want to break out of food jail. Let's dive into some of my oldies but goodies. So this is the Carb Solution. Well, actually, first let me tell you about my very first diet. Was just basic old counting calories. And it started me down the road of all of these other plans, because there was a try-fail. And it was not because of any health issues or anything. I was 9 years old. And the women in my family dieted, so I was going to diet. I was 9 years old. I wanted to lose 2 pounds, so I started counting calories like everybody else. That then started the yo-yo dieting and the what's the next thing and why can't I stick with this? And I've got other videos on the psychological things that happen and the physiological things that happen that keep you from sticking with a diet. And I'll link some of those around and down below. But I want to show you some of the ones that have hit my shelf over the years. So this is the Carb Careful Solution, curb your carb cravings. Well, of course, this was after the no-fat, low-fat craze. This was when carbs became the enemy. This one, Schwarbian principle, this one was really more for health. I was going through one of the 3 times I've dealt with adrenal fatigue in my life, and it helps to rebuild adrenals. So I'm not saying that making certain food choices for medical reasons is you throw that out the window. You don't. That's part of intuitive eating, is listening to what's my body telling me that it needs, And medical research can sometimes give you that information. But even this one I had trouble sticking with because it had that diet flavor to it of counting numbers of this and counting numbers of that versus that thumbnail, just what the principle, basically. So my point is, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Don't think that I'm saying don't ever pay attention to what you eat. Do. We talk about powerful plate, and we also say listen to the medical advice and the research for you. But when it starts getting into diet mentality, you sometimes have trouble even sticking with the medical ones. This one, oh my goodness, this one I have such an interesting story with. Shame on me, but it is what it is. This was Lean Bodies. This was during the transition of low fat, no fat to carbs are the enemy. So it had a little bit of both in there. And again, some of the principles and research it was based on were good, but once you start putting those principles and research in the package of a diet, it begins to have the physiological and especially the psychological backlash. And then it's not going to work. So anyway, my story with this one, I was following it and bananas on this particular plan. Other plans, bananas are king and queen. On this plan, bananas are the devil. So, bananas were one of those things that were horrible. You can't have it. So, of course, you're going to cheat because it's a diet. And so I'd be like, well, okay, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna have cake or I'm gonna have cheesecake. I was at this restaurant and I think they had key lime pie and I was like, oh well, I can't have a banana, but I'm gonna have this key lime pie. I would have obviously been better having the banana, but because I wasn't supposed to have them, I just was like, kind of like that sense of, well, once you've blown your diet, you might as well really blow it. It's like, if I'm gonna cheat, I'm gonna really cheat. Yeah. So I skipped bananas for a season, but I ate key lime pie. This is out of Lean Bodies. It's an example of how you take a principle and convert it to the diet mentality. Sugar converts easily to body fat, but did you know that it may speed up the aging process? And goes on to talk about some of the research related to cross-linking that was new at that time. Somehow this got later in the book that you couldn't have bananas. This one was interesting. This is the Sonoma diet. And again, the principles of there are some particular foods. I mean, look at this. Oh, this is just beautiful. These power foods. Yeah, they're wonderful. Now, some of them aren't wonderful now, whole grains, according to the current diets that are popular. You can't have whole grains. But anyway, at the time that this one was popular, whole grains was one of their power foods. And that, again, is part of the dark side of diets, is what is healthy, amazing, incredible for you one year, the next year is the most horrible thing you could ever put in your mouth. Well, has the research really progressed that much in that length of time? No. All right, so this was another one. This one was another diet that was more for how I felt than weight. But because it was packaged in the form of a diet, I rebelled, which is what you do to diets. So Inflammation Nation, because this one talked about all things that cause inflammation in the body. And of course, again, if you're dealing with inflammation in the body, something like this might be of service to you to read and get the principles and then apply yourself versus the strict line by line. So, for example, eggs were something that in other diets were amazing. This one, nope, not an option. Then one that was popular for a very long time. My husband did this one because he was wanting to put on a lot of muscle mass. Some of you may remember this one, Eating for Life. This one, again, it's a diet. And this one, because, okay, there's a certain number of hours that you're supposed to, work out and do whatever in the morning before you eat. I mean, it's not just the food itself, it's how you schedule it. Definite diet mentality, which means you're going to rebel. Rebellion is what you are supposed to do. Whenever you take all of these principles and put them into rules for something that your body is supposed to be giving you cues on, you are crossing a boundary. These rules cross a boundary. And the way to protect yourself psychologically is you butt up against those boundaries. So diets are designed to fail. Is there any hope? Yes, there is. And we're going to talk about that in next week's video. You can break out of food jail. You can live free, because that is, and I'll talk about a lot of the benefits next week, but let me go ahead and give you one of the big benefits to me personally now is I have a mind that is free from thinking about every little gram, thinking about, oh, it's not been exactly 12 hours or 16 hours or whatever if you're doing intermittent fasting, but I'm hungry and I'm having trouble concentrating. You know, you're not consumed with everything that goes on in your body. I want you to be free to enjoy and experience and embrace life free from food jail. And I can't wait to get you on that journey next week. Thanks so much for being here. Remember to subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll know when next week's comes up. Until next time, find your path and fulfill your unique potential.